Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. I thought I'd come here and share with you some thoughts. It's 1 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. I've just gone out of the movie set. I had a scene in a film. It'll be a big one. It may not be, but I don't even want to compartmentalize it because there's some big names in this movie. A good friend of mine is directing, and other good friends are producing and working on the film, and I think it's got some real potential here. Now, will my role be a star-making turn for me personally? No. But I have a Messier moment in this movie, which everybody seemed very happy with tonight. And that's, what's that cliche? There are no small parts, just small actors, which is a nice thing to say. I mean, there are small parts, and this was one of them. But I think, I made the most of what I had. And part of that, for me, is in this scene, it's a fight scene, and it's really a 100% loss for my character's end. Now, as a big guy myself, sure, you never want to lose a fight, but that's not acting, to think that way. Because in this scene, I'm most definitely playing a character who's getting his ass handed to him. And so part of the fun and part of the work really is to, and this would be pretty easy, not to say easy, but an actor who's been around the block wouldn't have any problem with this. But I think for people that would be new to acting, especially men, it would be tough to wrap their mind around, how do I look really defeated, submissive, destroyed? How do I act in fear of my life? In this particular scene, the character that I'm working with, who was played by a really great guy, he's even got my weapon. And we're starting the scene. The scene starts, I should say, midway through the beating. So there's really not an opportunity on camera to capture the arc of my character getting put into his place or being knocked down a notch. There's no struggle. We start the scene midway through the struggle, and my character is already beat up. So there's a thing in acting called the moment before. What happens the moment before the scene takes place? And I'm not sure if I heard about that moment before theory or knowledge lesson from my acting coach, BARRY PRIMUS, or from somebody else, a book or something, somewhere along the lines. You got to remember, I've read a lot of acting books. I've taken a lot of acting classes. BARRY PRIMUS, another good guy around here, Fred Sullivan, Kate Lester, just, not every acting coach you work with has a big acting coach name, so it's not going to impress everybody. I did meet Larry Moss once. He was a great guy. But the basic shtick is, what's the moment before? What happens before your scene starts is a question that actors will ask. And in this, I've got to think, well, my character has done wrong. He's not paid his bill, so to speak. And he attempted to go after the other guy with a weapon. He was outfoxed, outpowered, and outmaneuvered, and now the other guy's got his weapon, using it on me. So, how do I get into that? Well, the first thing is sometimes there's not a lot of dialogue for me in this thing either, and really just wrap my head around one word, which is fear. And then what's the fear of? Getting killed. Well, why do I not want to get killed? Well, I have a wife and kids. So that's all I have to do, and sometimes if this had been a leading part, or if this had been, a script that I had written and I was coaching other actors, because I do a lot of dialogue-driven stuff, when this is more action-based, I would go into a big complex thing. With this, because it's more of an action scene, and I just need to wrap my head around one base emotion, which is fear of losing my life and letting down my family. That's all I gotta do. So I started breathing hard, and I started to imagine getting killed and leaving behind my wife and kids, and will my wife find a new man to replace me? You know, these are fears that a man's ego would have. And am I going to end up dead or scarred? Maybe not even dead, but just scarred. I just drove by some type of dead rat or something. Here I am in my old stomping grounds. On another note for a moment, get out of the acting lesson and just talk about, I've done this before when I was here in April, but right now I'm driving through some of the streets I used to drive on, and it's like that Bare Naked Ladies song, I broke into the old apartment. It's 1:06 in the morning, there's two people riding bicycles down the street. Okay, you know what I mean? But this is Providence, this is Rhode Island, this is, I think I'm in the Johnston-Cranston line. I'm almost on empty for gas, but I'm hoping to get to my resting spot before I hit that orange E button, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like I sort of know where I am, but I sort of don't. So there's like a 50-50 chance I'll get home without having to fiddle fuck to get gas. Pecasset Mill. It's always, to me, folks, maybe, I do feel like I'm in a fucking time warp, because these streets that I'm driving down, I have driven down hundreds, thousands of times. You know what I mean? And I haven't been on these streets right now for like 2 years. I guess I'll be a nice guy and I'll show you some of the streets. But you can see everything kind of, to me, and look, I'm not putting down the neighborhood, folks. I'm really not. But to me, in New England, or especially for like 5 or 6 months, and October really is the beginning of it, there is a grayness, like a grayness, the weather. It's just cold. And it's tough for me, and I think I probably, the whole time I had, what's that thing called? Seasonal depression disorder. St. Rocco School. I probably had seasonal depression the whole time I was here. And I'm telling you, folks, I'm not trying to bring you down or bring myself down, but just a life lesson for anyone that's kind of been in the same spot. It could be the Northwest, you could be in Spokane, Washington, you could be in Utah, you could be in, anywhere. And you could just feel like, fuck, am I ever going to get out of this place? And then, you have family, you have friends, you have work. Some people have what they call the golden handcuffs. You have some type of job that if you stick around for another 12 years, you get all these retirement benefits. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, everyone's going to have to make their own decisions. But if you happen to be in a situation like I was a couple of years ago, where it's just the timing is like now or never, do or die, do I stay or do I go? I say go. I mean, I really do. And I just know that that's what worked for me. Now, for other folks, it may not work for you, but I just always have this feeling there's more people out there like me who feel like they're kind of trapped in some type of environment that they've just run its course with. And I'm just here to gently cajole whoever's listening who might need to hear this. Don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to go somewhere else. And you can always come home again like I am. Now, luckily, I've got friends that are willing to kind of make things happen for me. In other words, give me motivation to come back here. And I appreciate that. It's a sign of good friends. But, as you can see, once the party's over, I get kind of into this somber mode, I guess. And I don't know, maybe you can see that I'm just a different type of guy when I'm driving around here. I know I'm not going to be here forever, and I'm happy to be here and see the people and the friends. So I don't need to, but it's just a lot of history. And to me, to be honest, there's a lot of frustration that came with being here, with interpersonal relationships with people, women, family, all that stuff. And the frustrations, here's the thing that I know about myself. I tend to harp on the frustrations more than, the successes. And maybe that's my own fault, my own issue, if you would. But it's, I recognize it, I own it, and I don't know what to do, is just kind of admit to that. But for me, there was so many frustrations, so many things that didn't work for me that I had to leave. And you kind of find out, some people, when you leave an area, they get pissed. They feel like you're abandoning them, or you're abandoning some type of scene or some type of thing. Some people understand, some people don't. But I guess if anyone were to come to me and say, hey man, I got to get out of where I'm living at, I would get it, because that's how I felt. So you're getting the double header tonight, folks. You're getting the Mike Messier acting lesson, the acting, actor reveals, and then you get the Mike talking about going back to the old home. I'm passing by all these shopping centers. Now I know I'm going around in circles because I passed the town hall lanes earlier, so I'm kind of driving around in circles at this point. 1450 place. Yeah, I guess you could say I mildly fucked up here, because I definitely saw this shit earlier. So that's kind of what happens. But anyway, folks, I thought I'd share with you some of the nuances, some of the things in my mind. Now I'm at Johnston, North 5. There's a job lot, Town Hall Plaza. It's just interesting, I did live here for a long time, not in this exact neighborhood. This was kind of like the outlying cities, but I haven't been on these streets in 2 years, so obviously, my sense of direction is definitely not the best. So I guess I'll keep talking, and hopefully we'll have enough gas. Sometimes you see things like there's some stuff has come and gone. There's new things being added. There's old things being taken away. You know what I mean? And there you have it. All right, folks, I guess I'm going to get going. I'll wrap this up. Subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel if you're new here. You might be saying, gee whiz, where is this guy? We can't even see him. Well, here I am. Why is he in darkness? Well, like I said, this is a fun ride, a ride with Mike, a different tone of voice. A lot of times I'm very angry and hostile and ranting, and sometimes my nice demeanor when I'm doing my Messier Mantra shows or my Messier Peace Theater. But tonight you kind of caught me in a different type of mood, a different type of sensibility. And that's it. So subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. And so on and so forth.